Or think of someone who is anxiously awaiting the results of a medical test, who runs the gamut of emotions and possible outcomes. I'm learning to take things one step at a time. If I'm going to need to live something, do it in the flow of life and live through it once with the grace and the faith that we have, instead of catastrophizing, and it saves a lot of stress. Although, there's an app in my brain that likes to fire up around 3 to 4 a.m., and it's called the What If app. And it drives me crazy. And I read recently that it won't do you any good to do that because the part of your brain, the logical part that can think things through, it's offline. It's asleep. So you're not going to get any help. So if you have that app, let's do whatever we can to hit delete, delete. It is not a helpful thing. Well, obstacles come in many forms. I've shared with, I don't know how you really say her name. I'm going to call her Brianna Weist. I love her work. And that book is called The Pivot Year. And she writes, sometimes the walls you once constructed as a safeguard become the same thing that prevents your love from pouring into your own life. What once kept you safe begins to hold you back. Do not allow your comfort zone to become your cage. So maybe it's time for a reframe or a new way of seeing things. Have you noticed, like in the past few weeks, the new green growth sprouting up through the old dead leaves on the ground in the garden beds? The oak trees that wait and finally release their leaves when the new buds are finally pushing the old leaves out. Now those things provide something because you know those dead leaves are the food for the new growth coming up, and they provide some protection from the frost. And there's so many good things that they have a purpose too. Well, in Mark Nepo's book, called The Book of Awakening, he writes about preparing the way. To die is not a bad thing. Cells die every day. Paradoxically, it is how the body lives. Casings shed, coverings fall away, new growth appears. It is how we stay vital and vibrant in life. Likewise, ways of thinking die like cells, and we suffer when we refuse to let what's growing underneath make its way as the new skin of our lives. It is the stubbornness with which we refuse to let what's growing underneath come through that pains us. We increase the pain of living when we try to stop the emergence that all life goes through. Imagine if trees never shed their leaves, or if waves never turned over, or if clouds never dumped their rain and disappeared. What matters most is waiting its turn underneath all that is experiencing itself to prepare the way. And he suggests, sit quietly and consider the many selves you have been, just like we did in meditation. Consider how the new self has always been growing underneath the old. Close your eyes and meditate on the newness growing within you right now. As you breathe steadily, relax your grip on the habits of your mind that may be blocking your growth. Well, we know, and we've been talking about intentional living for this year of 2026, and intentional living means choosing how you live your life with awareness, purpose, and alignment with your values instead of simply reacting to circumstances or following habits, expectations, or cultural pressures. And it involves us regularly asking ourselves, what truly matters to me? How do I want to show up in the world? Do my daily choices reflect my deeper values? Instead of living on autopilot, intentional living invites us to consciously design our life around meaning, purpose, and authenticity. No longer living in reaction mode and instead choosing what is truly important to us. And being grateful for the previous versions of ourselves. And making way for new growth, learning, and continued unfoldment. What it doesn't mean is striving to be perfect. We're going to burst that bubble. Because we're human as well as spiritual, and we get to experience all of life from that perspective, the whole spectrum that entails. Yes, I have a personal mission and vision statement because Val held that really good class at the beginning of this year. And yes, I can sometimes be petty. I'm going to share with you what I shared with the folks in our book study this last week. If you don't think I can be petty, you should have been with me at my gym this week. We go to the Y over at Norton Common. And there was another senior citizen on the last piece of equipment that I needed to use to complete my circuit. And I'm not kidding. She sat on that piece of equipment for at least 10 minutes trying to figure out how to use her AirPods. Never doing what she was supposed to be doing on that equipment. And I feel embarrassed telling you all this, but I felt my impatience steadily rising. I can almost do this too when I'm driving a car. And somebody's driving really not nice. Well, I was able to keep my mouth shut, but just barely. Good grief. Well, exasperated, I finally gave up and decided to go over to the free weight section because I still had some things that I could do. In that process, I realized that perhaps I was the cause of my frustration. So I grudgingly said thank you to Spirit for that realization. And on my way out of the gym, I felt that nudge to stop and encourage that fellow senior citizen in her efforts to stay healthy. And you know what? She was really appreciative and she was really a nice person. Reverend Rick shared a quote, and he gave me permission to share it today during our book study that really struck a chord with all of us. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be kind? Do I want to be right, or do I want to be kind? When you feel connected and in harmony with Spirit, you come from that place of good energy and wholeness. And those who you interact with can feel that because we're all energetic beings. You know, if you just walked into a room where somebody hasn't been happy or has caused an issue, you can feel that energy still in that room. And Dr. Dyer says, when we meet anyone, and this is a great experiment, it changes your perspective, let me tell you. When we meet anyone, treat the event as a holy encounter. Whoa. No matter what it says on their t-shirt, we can still treat that event as a holy encounter because they're a spiritual being just like you are, just like I am. And he says that when we come from that place of acceptance and harmony, our presence instills calmness. And you've been around people like that. You want to be around them? I can be around Rebecca like that. And just like this, I feel calm because that's what she exudes when I'm around her. I hope that did not embarrass you. Your presence leaves others feeling energized. It allows others to feel good about themselves. You can instill a sense of purpose. And it allows others and yourself to trust in authentic personal connections. It aligns others with beauty. I don't know about you all, but the older I get, the more I notice all of the beauty around us. These trees, this what I call Easter egg grass, because it's clumpy and it's great to hide Easter eggs in. I mean, it is beautiful all around us. And Dr. Dyer encourages us to think from the end as a means to align ourselves with the field of intention, or as I call it, divine mind, or God. If you envision the end point first, your destination, see it, feel it, and live as if. In chapter 6, I loved it. He reminds us that none of us are from here. Not one human being on the planet are from here. We are all in bodies that are temporary and are going to die. Isn't it ironic that we live backwards as if the opposite is true? We tend to ignore that we have a limited human shelf life. How many of us have put off something that matters to us, thinking that we'll tackle that another day? Or made a safe decision. I'm so guilty of this, or have been. A safe decision that enables us to stay comfortable and secure rather than take a chance and do something outside our comfort zone. Well, my younger brother Chris's legacy, who left this earth at age 48, was to choose carefully what we wish to spend our time on with the time that we have left here. And I get a reminder nudge from him every once in a while to remember that. Many of us have faced mortality through illness, loss, and other life experiences. And immediately after a traumatic life event, we may receive an unexpected gift of what I call glasses with special lenses, which bring into sharp focus that which matters the very most to us. And all of the stuff that we can get our jeans and a wad in falls away. We realize how petty we can be. We get a sense of urgency, of importance to complete or do something before we too run out of time. Whether we realize it or not, and listen, I used to be the queen of denial, so I understand if you're there with me. Each of us has an appointment with infinity. Every one of us. And the great news is that we don't need to wait until we experience trauma or loss to discover what is important to us, what we want to complete, what truly matters to us. Dr. Dyer suggests that we write our own final words now and make our transition to being an infinite being while we still occupy these bodies. What? Don't let that throw you. It just means to use your imagination and think from the end. He says that by being on the active side of infinity, you're fully cognizant that you're in a body that's going to die. Furthermore, your inner knowing is that you aren't that body. It's mind. Any of its achievements or possessions. He goes on to say, I assure you that once you move your inner awareness to the active side of infinity, you'll begin to notice miraculous happenings in your daily life. And you do all of your living in all of your relationships from this perspective. Think about that for a few moments. Think of the ways your life and your relationships would change if you decided to live like that. Because you could let go of that daggone need to win or the need to always be right. By the way, my ex-husband used to call me Last Lick Carter, because I always had to have the last word in a disagreement. So I've been there, and it's not helpful either. And it also helps you not take things so daggone personally. Can you just feel the spaciousness of that way of living and being and thinking? Holy moly. By realizing our expansive essence of infinity, we can see our greater self, of which a small part has materialized as our body. We can know that it's time to do what our destiny intended us to do. It's not morbid to think about this. In fact, it's absolutely liberating. Earlier this week, a close friend and I had lunch at this neat little cozy restaurant in Westport, Kentucky. Westport itself is a tiny little town on the river, and the restaurant place was called Knock on Wood. Knock on Wood. And if you haven't been there, you should go. It is a treat. Oh my goodness. Well, after a delicious lunch and a leisurely stroll on the riverfront, she showed me a nearby interesting historic graveyard. And as I was looking at those old headstones, you know, the kind that you can't hardly read the writing on, and some of them are standing and some of them had fallen over, it occurred to me, not for the first time, that most of the people that are in there had expected to live, not die. And yet this place, or somewhere like it, is where we will all end up at some point at the close of this earthly journey. Our bodies, but not the soul, not the energy that was you before you were even born here on earth. And as we were leaving to go home, oh my goodness, a magnificent bald eagle flew low close to the river, right in front of us. And that eagle was my confirmation of the importance of living in the present moment, knowing that these human moments are finite in nature. So our challenge, and my challenge to you today, is to live like we know that. I find it really easy to do, and I'm sure you do too, in your favorite place on earth. I find it in nature, when all my senses are enlivened, whether it's in the mountains, or on the beach. Boy, you can just feel so alive in those moments. Other times, not so much. I recently discovered a really simple tool that helps me remember. It's 3 words, and it's changed my life. It is the mantra, be here now. Be here now. That's it. It pulls my focus from wherever my thoughts or my iPhone have taken me right straight into this present moment. So much so that I've stopped pulling out my phone to keep me entertained while I'm in a line or sitting in a waiting room or at a traffic jam, and choosing instead to be there, to really look at the environment and the people around me. And I've had some really holy moment encounters during those times. Sometimes I share a laugh with a stranger, or admire the patience of young parents, or parents with a young child. I notice the art on the walls, really being present. And I've noticed when I do that, I feel more connected. I feel part of the whole. I feel more in harmony with all of life around me as that observer, to the point that I can begin to feel like a generator of divine love, which I've talked about before. Just anonymously and lavishly sending that agape love to everyone, everything, and the entire world around me. It also helps to send that love to trees, birds, flowers, and all things nature. It's really neat when you talk to a tree. It serves as a reminder of the miracle that we exist on a spinning blue and green planet out in the vastness of space. Good grief. When I get just a glimpse of that perspective, I realize just how sacred and precious life is. Denny expressed this so beautifully last Sunday. I'm going to use her words. She said, living our life from the perspective of a spiritual being, having a temporary human experience can bring miraculous things to your life. You have a sense of destiny, possibility, humility, generosity, knowing, passion, and belonging. It changes your whole outlook on life. Thank you, Denny. I see you, I feel you, and I behold the sacred and wondrous being that you are. Namaste.
This song was written by Dolly Parton when she was in Ireland. And it seemed appropriate with 2 days in. I open up my door to greet the early morning sun, closing it behind me as away I do run to the meadow where the meadowlarks are singing in the breeze. In that meadow I go walking in the early morning breeze. I cup my hands to catch a multicolored butterfly, closed upon the petals of a flower growing wild, and freeing it, I watch it as it flies among the trees. In that meadow where I'm walking in the early morning breeze, rainbow-colored flowers mixed with early morning sun, the aster and the dahlia and the wild geranium, drops of morning dew still linger on these Irish leaves. In the meadow where I'm walking in the early morning breeze. Misty-eyed I look around this meadow where I've strayed, word with God. Rainbow-colored flowers kissed with early morning sun. The aster, the dahlia, and the wild geranium. Drops of morning dew still linger on these Irish leaves. In this meadow where I'm walking in the early morning breeze. In the meadow where I'm walking in the early morning breeze.
Thank you so much, Susie. That was beautiful. Both songs. And we'll get to thank you again after both of them. I just love the variety of music we have every week. It's fantastic. And thank you, Carla. Busy taking notes again. I love all the words of wisdom. We have so many words of wisdom here. Awesome. That's why we're here, right? I mean, we wouldn't bother to come if there were no words of wisdom or good music or anything, right? No. Now it's time to take your offering in your hand and let's say the blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And don't forget, if you haven't seen these, if you give a different way, if you give online or a monthly recurring and you'd like something to put in the bag, you can take these out of your pocket and put them in the bag.
We say, thank you, thank you, thank you. We bless these gifts and we bless the givers. And we know without a doubt that they will go out into the community and do the work that God intended for them. Again, thank you, thank you.
It's weird not having Don's background music. You know, when it's not here, you really appreciate it, you know? Yeah, this traveling music, the background kind of zen background music, and really notice something when it's not here. So that's why I try and remember to appreciate him every week. He's been so faithful to us, and we really appreciate him making that CD for when he's gone. So anyway, just a couple of announcements. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody on Tuesday. We forgot to wear our green. I guess some people wore it, but I forgot. For the Irish. Today, please stay after the service for the annual meeting where we'll be saying goodbye to a couple of board members, Pat, and thanking everybody for all the work they've done and hearing all the information that the board has to give. And we also have a few snacks, so if you're starving, you don't have to leave and go and have lunch. You can grab a snack and then listen. We are continuing our Crosby Middle School donations until the end of the month, and then we'll donate them. It's toiletries, or rather personal care items, the list is at the back, and candy for them to give to the seniors, and we're sharing that candy also with Mary Hurst when they stuff their Easter eggs, coming up pretty soon. Easter's around the corner. The book study on Wednesday evenings is continuing on the power of intention. You can join that at any time. Anybody's welcome. It's online and in person. The next Crystal Bowl meditation with Rebecca and Mickey is this coming Friday, the 20th. That's beautiful. The flower sale has begun for the benefits the Youth of Unity, and the sheets are in the back, and I think Elaine made a beautiful printout for that to give you more information on that. All this information is online on your weekly email newsletter that Angeline puts out, and also that Bob puts on the website. I think the accountability group meeting is still happening on March 22nd. I don't know if anybody knows because Val is not here. And then Wednesday, March 18th, this is related to the telepathy tapes. If you've listened to that podcast, you can learn more about letterboarding for nonverbal and unreliably speaking autistic people. That'll be here 7 p.m. Wednesday night at the same time as your class. Unfortunately, we'll be sharing the space. And then April 12th, just looking ahead, we're reminding you that there's an all-music Sunday service, which is one of my absolute favorites. That's April 12th, the week after Easter. And for those of you that remember John Gage, he's been such a wonderful singer here and musician. He's come and supported us and spoken, and he's just a dear friend of ours, and he is moving to the West Coast. So we're really, really sad about that. So this should be most likely his last performance at Unity. So if you can come and say goodbye to him. So, all right, that's about it for the announcements. And now we'll say the prayer for protection together. If you'd like to stand. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. And wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now we'll join hands and sing the peace song.
I know.